We've made this DVD called Our Grand Design because we want you to understand Harwood House's philosophy of care. It's our story and it's something we're very proud of. It colours everything we do, from the way the home looks and feels to the way we organise the care we provide. Everyone wants the best for those they care about, but it's not always easy for those involved in choosing a home to know the right things to ask. So we've applied our knowledge of what matters to answer the questions we think are important. Questions like, is it truly a comfortable and safe environment that my parent, relative or loved one will feel at home in? Are the standards of care as high as I am led to believe? How do we look after the whole person, not just their physical needs? And how do we get to know individual residents and help them to live a life that's stimulating? Our Grand Design will help you to understand what drives us and what our residents should expect from a life at Harwood House.
Good afternoon, welcome to Harwood House. I'm Jenny.
Our grand design is really to take things to another level. Harwood House has always had a great reputation for our care, the staff. I think the staff are amazing. We're like a family really, and we all have the same objectives, and that is to deliver the best care possible. And that includes making the environment as good as it can be, as well as high standards of care that's delivered. There are regulations in place that set standards for care homes throughout the country, but Harwood House has always exceeded those standards, and our grand design is really about setting our own agenda for excellence.
I came, I needed a rest, and for 4 weeks and 2.5, well, nearly 3 years, and I'm still here. And why am I here? Because I love it. I'm happy. It's like living with a family in a big country house. It's just the fact that you can be completely independent and you have wonderful people looking after you. I don't feel I'm in a nursing home, but I know I am, so I'm safe.
I'm a knitter and I like to do, and I read a lot and I do crossword puzzles. There's a lot of the time that I want to be on my own and I can do that. But if there's anything going on, they come and ask you if you want to join. If you don't have to.
So what is our Grand Design and what does it mean in practice? It's made up of what we believe to be the 3 most vital components in creating excellence in a nursing home. These are the physical environment of the home, the standards of care provided, and adopting a person-centred approach. We will look at each of these in detail to explain what we mean. Let's begin with the physical environment of the home.
I would like to welcome in particular the Right Honourable Theresa May, maybe to say a few words, and also to cut the first sod, which will become a huge amount of building work behind me here. Theresa May, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
In 2009, the owners of Harwood House began a programme of development that has resulted in an investment of £2 million. An investment designed to create an environment that is regarded by all who see, work or live in it as extraordinary.
What is particularly interesting here is that it is going to be revamping the property, and not in order to increase the number of rooms, but actually to provide a better quality of room for the residents. And I think that's quite unusual, because often if people are building, are investing, then it's in order to expand the number of rooms to make the economics work better. But here it's about the quality. This is a very good quality nursing home, that's my impression. I do visit nursing homes and they do vary. I think what is nice about this one is that when you walk in it feels homely. It's not got that institutional feel about it that sometimes you do get from nursing homes, and almost it's quite difficult not to provide that institutional feel. But this one does feel very homely, and that's a comment the residents have made to me. We talk about quality of care. Quality of surroundings is part of that. Quality of the care that is delivered by the staff is the other aspect to it, and the two together are what makes the quality experience for the resident.
Part of our grand design here in Harwood House was to find physical circumstances and an ambience which was first class, to look at the care, look at the culture amongst the staff that was first class, but also to ensure that as people come and make this their home, that it would be first class for them as well, that they would feel that they were coming into an environment where they were respected, they were cared for, and they were also able to make the choices that they wanted to make.
Improvements have been made to all areas of Harwood House. Those made to the bedrooms have resulted in a feeling of homely luxury with the most up-to-date amenities. For example, unless a couple wish to share, all rooms are now sole occupancy and each has ensuite facilities. Interior designers have added new curtains and soft furnishings, and a great deal of effort and resources have been applied to make the lighting in all areas of the home sympathetic and non-institutional. Our bedrooms have been enlarged to increase the residents' comfort and pleasure, and to provide a sense of being at home, rather than in a home. Another major development has been the creation of a new garden wing. It has 8 bedrooms, all with planting and terraced areas, and French windows that lead to the professionally landscaped gardens.
I think the whole design and the way it's developed is quite out of this world. Certainly an artist has been at work.
This isn't about being a care hotel, this is about being a care home. And everything that drives us in Harwood House is for it to be just that, a home. That people feel absolutely comfortable and at home. Give you some examples. The carpets that we have, we want to engage and for the carpets to be stimulating. We've used very vibrant colours. When we've looked at the furnishings and we've looked at the fabrics that we've used, we want them to be stimulating and of interest, not corporate bland. When we look at the pictures on the walls, again, things that are stimulating, of interest and homely. Or if you go to the kitchen, the food's top quality, all fresh, but it's also like home cooking.
And then there are the gardens. Harwood House already enjoys a much sought-after position in the village of Cookham Dean. And our gardens have now been designed to make them more accessible to residents and visitors, so that they can enjoy their spectacular surroundings. Follow one of the many pathways around the garden and you will find a permanent courtyard area, 2 new large terraces with wheelchair access, an area for barbecuing in the summer, new private areas for the residents and their guests to sit in, raised planted areas, and even a sensory garden.
Having a sensory garden is very important because it helps to stimulate senses that can sometimes be dulled in elderly people. And for instance, this is a pineapple plant which smells of pineapple and it looks like a pineapple. And we've planted lots of old-fashioned roses that have lots of fragrance.
It's not only the sensory garden that stimulates our residents. We actively encourage assisted walks in the beautiful surrounding countryside. And in the warmer months, we hold some yoga classes and one-to-one yoga sessions in the gardens for any residents who want to join in. As important as the physical environment is, the Harwood House management team require the standards of care provided to be exceptional too. That's why we're committed to extensive training far in excess of what the authorities require of us, and to develop new ways of delivering care that puts the needs and wants of individual residents above any other consideration. The key worker system is a major development in the way we practice care at Harwood House, and it's one example of the way we believe care in nursing homes should develop.
We've introduced a key worker scheme, and that involves members of staff taking responsibility for individual residents, so that relatives know that one carer is fully responsible for all aspects of their care and they will deal with that individual. If they can't actually deal with that, then it comes back to me, but it gives care workers ownership and more responsibility for each individual resident.
The key issues in providing nursing and medical care for the residents that live here is to provide them a supportive and therapeutic environment in which they can live and feel valued, they can feel comfortable and happy within their daily life and daily routine.
Harwood House rarely uses agency staff. This is crucial to operating the key worker scheme, as it means our staff are well versed in our approach. It also means that we can deliver continuity of care based on our in-depth knowledge of our residents' needs. As well as the Harwood House staff, we have others who help deliver the high standards of care expected, such as local GP Dr. John Southgate.
From my point of view, the medical care that I provide is quite individualistic. I look at the person, I look at what I think that they need, and I provide that level of medical care. And this may be very different from one resident to another. I discuss with the individual resident what their feelings on the medical treatment is that they're receiving, and I try and tailor the treatment to their wishes. I really like the work that's been done on Harwood House. I think this is more than cosmetic. I think it shows the care and attention that they wish to provide to residents. I think the whole thing's splendid. I think it looks absolutely wonderful. It's certainly a place that I wouldn't mind living in.
An important part of our grand design is the expansion of the activities programme that helps keep our residents interested and engaged in the world around them. We believe that this is central to the person-centred approach we adopt. We place so much importance on this stimulus that we now have 4 activities coordinators who make sure something is on offer nearly every day. We encourage people to take part or to tell us if they would like something different, but of course, ultimately, they decide for themselves.
Do you enjoy doing the exercises and the activities?
Up to a point.
Do you find it strenuous, or do you find that you can just join in at your own pace?
Well, just joining at my own pace.
And I think that's the wonderful thing, that when you just join in at your own pace, some people can't walk, some people can. So the home thinks very rigorously about how they're going to have an activities programme, and people can interact as much as they wish to and not want to. There's no pressure, and I think that's the most important thing, that people don't feel under pressure.
We have various activities on offer. We have an activity team made up of 4 people. They're all very different and they all have very different skills. One of our ladies is quite young and physically very fit, and she needs a lot of exercise. So she has one-to-one yoga sessions, and also the staff take her on very long walks, 4 or 5 miles at a time, 2 or 3 times a week. She also enjoys swimming. One of our friends has a swimming pool locally, and she's taken on an individual basis. Another chap likes an afternoon stroll after his lunch, and that's accommodated as well. I believe that all tasks can be turned into pleasurable activities if people just think about what they're doing. For example, helping a resident to have a bath. Give them time to enjoy it, and they can choose their own music in the bathroom, muted lighting, bubbles, whatever the resident wants, and then that functional task is turned into a pleasurable activity.
We organise outings, visits to the theatre, card games, we have Scrabble, massages, we have visits to the village pub. We all know what a therapy shopping can be. So we do have members of our staff that take our residents out shopping. Only yesterday, in fact, we had a riverboat trip on the River Thames and picnic on board, glasses of wine. They had a wonderful day and the weather was very kind to us. It's terribly important that whether it is a younger resident at Harwood House or an older resident, that they have contact with the outside world. Enormously important. It's all very well that they have their friends and their members of their family, but it's down to us at Harwood House, it really is, to keep these people well stimulated. And that, I think, is where Harwood House is quite unique.
We believe that it's not possible to create a home that works well for residents unless they have a voice in the way it's run. We're here to deliver what residents want, not what we think they should want. And that means giving them a clear voice in determining the way they live. That's why we've developed a unique approach that encourages residents to participate fully in the running of the home. One of the ways this has been achieved is through a residents' committee. This committee meets regularly and has complete independence from management. They decide on any changes they would like and communicate these to management.
It's useful to remind ourselves first that nearly every one of the residents here will meet nearly every one of the care staff sometime during the week. And all the little interactions and problems that might arise there can be solved almost on the spot. And this place works very well like that. If I say, how do I get some more batteries for my watch? The reply is likely to be, I've got some downstairs, or I'll get Andy to get it at lunchtime. So where does the residents committee fit in? It's an informal group of those willing and able to spend some time in discussions every few weeks as to what changes the residents as a group might wish to see. It provides a way of getting it off our chests without identifying ourselves. Anonymity is stressed in the way we work. And we do get people who will start to talk about it, and as soon as you say, would you like to contribute words to the discussion? No, I don't want to do that. but it's been registered in my mind that it's a concern, and I can present it in a completely anonymous way. The advantage we do have, of course, is that friends and relatives appear here from time to time, and we try to make a point of getting to know some of them and making sure they realise that there's this other channel which they can feed information and requests. The management is not involved in the committee's work and its discussions, but of course the report we produce at the end has to go to them, otherwise they wouldn't know what our problems were. I think one of the good examples is the garden at the front of the house. When the building work started, many of the residents who regularly used to sit outside on that side of the house felt that it was going to become very noisy, perhaps dusty, or even many of the places wouldn't exist while the digging was going on. The committee raised the question. Very soon, the garden at the front of the house was produced, and that was a godsend. When I looked at all the changes that were being proposed, my reaction was that, by golly, that's the sort of thing that architects award each other prizes for. It's spectacular, and it's been a delight to watch it being built.
Looking forward to meal times is important to a feeling of well-being, and residents are always encouraged to express their food preferences. We've become well known for the quality of food on offer, food produced largely from local suppliers and made in our own kitchens. We go to great lengths to make our food tasty and varied, with, for example, our celebrations of food from around the world. The standard we set for ourselves is to provide excellent quality home cooking. We don't want it to be like restaurant food, which can become unappetizing if you eat it every day. So Janet, our head cook, and Manuel spend a great deal of time planning the meals that our residents will enjoy. On the 2 days that filming took place, lunch was roast pork and a homemade chicken pie made from locally sourced produce. There is a standard invitation to relatives and their friends to join our residents for lunch and sample the delights of Janet's kitchen for themselves. We want people to feel at home, so there's always wine and sherry on offer with meals. We also respect that some residents may prefer to eat by themselves and at different times to others. No one is made to conform to artificial rules and regulations. In addition to main meals, snacks and drinks are on offer day and night. There's even a new shop, which allows residents the independence to buy their own choice of confectionery and personal items.
As soon as you walk through the door, it's a family atmosphere. I would say it's the nearest thing you can get to your own home. My mum came into the home in late October, physically quite unwell, and thanks to the home, they've given me my mum back again. My mum is well, she's thriving, and we do the Times crossword together every day, and she likes to point out where I go wrong. And she's absolutely wonderful, and that's only thanks to the dedication of the staff here under Morag and her wonderful girls. I asked if I could come up here for Mothering Sunday, and they laid a special table for myself and my mother, and it was absolutely exquisite. And that's just a kind of example of the wonderful things that people do here.
We believe everyone is entitled to the best end care of life. Harwood House's exclusivity is based on the fact that we have put in a substantial amount of thought, time and resources into the delivery of our service.
Now we have the advantage here in the Harwood House that we're not owned by a large corporation with a huge profit motive, with a huge overhead in some head office down in London. But what we're focusing on is providing excellent care without having those major overheads. I think one of the things that comes out of that is that we're not the cheapest in town because we are investing in the fabric of the building, we are investing in frontline services, but also we're not the most expensive in town because we don't have all of those costs involved.
We want to challenge people's expectations of what a nursing home should be like, and in doing so we hope to set new standards in the way care is delivered. Our grand design has been developed because we believe having a beautiful place to live, having our individual wants and desires recognised, and to live in a stimulating environment that delivers exceptional care is what we would want for ourselves. That's why we believe it's the right of our residents to expect the exceptional and to reject what is ordinary.
My next door neighbour, who's an experienced and highly qualified nurse, told me on one occasion that if her mother ever had to go into a nursing home, Harwood House would be the only one she'd choose. And I thought if it was good enough for her mother, it's good enough for my wife. We didn't want my wife to be in a nursing home, but if it's inevitable, we couldn't really have chosen a better place. I visit her practically every other day, and during all that time, I've never had reason to make a single complaint about her treatment here. You don't get the impression it's a nursing home. it's so friendly and welcoming.
What we want Harwood House to stand for as a group of people is that this is a place of respect, it is a place of first-class care, and that we take a real interest in the people who have made Harwood House their home. We want it to be a super example of how a community of people can look after the elderly.
So we invite you to come and see for yourself just how special Harwood House's grand design really is. And start your own story.
We're absolutely thrilled that you're able to come today. We really mean that. And we know that you're very busy, and yet you find time to come and help us start this exciting project for us.
The grand design on which Harwood House models itself was the embodiment of William Fitch's beliefs on how people in nursing homes should be treated and respected. William passed away unexpectedly in February, just a few months before the physical building work that was a cornerstone of the grand design was completed. Philip Herbert, who is a member of Harwood House's Board of Management, offers this short insight into William and the legacy he leaves behind.
Well, I remember very well when the grand design first was mooted at one of the monthly management meetings we have here. William got tremendously excited about the idea of developing this Harwood House. William had been involved for many years in developing and expanding nursing and care homes. It was a passion with him, although it wasn't his only business. It became the business that consumed him because he felt so angry about the press reports of so many cases where elderly people had been neglected and had been run, businesses have been run solely for a profit motive. And so for him, this particular house, which he kept in his retirement within the Fitch family, became something very special for him to develop. It was fascinating to see the whole thing beginning to take shape, and William, of course, shared that great excitement. And I can remember at the time when we actually started it off, Theresa May dug the first sod. He said at the time, "I'm so excited about this. Every time I come each month for the meeting, one day I think to myself, I shall stay. I shall just come and not go back home." And I'm rather looking forward to that. Sadly, that's not going to be possible because William died earlier this year after a short and unexpected illness. But I'm delighted that still to be part of it, because this is very much the Fitch family, and Michael is continuing that way. And Morag, although not a member of the family by birth, is very much a part of the family, and William had tremendous regard for what she did and what she was doing here. So it will continue, but sadly without William. All of his life, I think those who knew him would know that he was motivated by a very strong Christian faith that came partly from his upbringing, but became worked out for him in actually serving people who he felt were often forgotten. And so this is where it came through. And that, I'm very glad to say, continues within the family, because Michael is very much motivated in the same principles. And those would be the way I define William, I think, in his search for excellence and a concern to serve those, especially those who were perhaps unable to help themselves. We can't think of a better way of remembering a man who made such a big impact upon this community, but also a much wider community too, in the very high standards of welfare, care, and I would say, using his word, love. He genuinely loved his work and he loved the people he was serving. And so we'll continue that, making the grand design a reality.